Greetings and welcome back to this next installment of Bible Topics that make you say, hmm. And I am Robin Sweet Ransom. Last time we left off talking about the synagogue of Satan. Probably shocked you with that video, huh? Well, let's see what we have in store now. So here's a thought to ponder. Does your father see you as a loser? So much so that even the baby knows it? That's how much truth there is in it? Nah, let's continue. All right. I pray that after listening to this entire video, don't jump out, listen to it all. You're here to be blessed and you will get a blessing at the end of this. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 1, and also verses 5 through 8. So here's the setting. Samuel was a prophet of God who was told to anoint a king for Israel. He anointed the first king, which was Saul. Then Saul betrayed the Lord, and so Yahweh said, we need to get us a new king. And so, even while Saul was still king, he sent Samuel out to find another king to anoint. So he says, how long are you going to mourn for Saul? Because Samuel was just brokenhearted over the fact that Saul was a mess. Because he started off so wonderful and then he just ended up so jacked up. That's what happens. So, again, how long are you going to mourn for Saul since I have rejected him as king over Israel? Fill your horn with oil and go. And it's funny because at first Samuel didn't think Israel needed a king other than Yahweh, but the people wanted someone they could see. And so, he told them all hell is going to break out when you get this king, but you get what you want. And so now he's brokenhearted over Saul not working out. Yahweh says, I'm sending you to Jesse of Bethlehem because I have selected a king from his sons. So he goes, he travels out there, and the people who are there want to know if he's coming in peace. He says, yeah, I'm coming in peace, because they're wondering, why is this prophet coming to visit us? He says, I've come to sacrifice to the Lord. Consecrate yourselves. In other words, make yourself holy, be clean and so forth, and come with me to the sacrifice. Then he consecrated Jesse and his sons and invited them to the sacrifice. So he blessed them and everything, and they're going together. Notice he invited Jesse and his sons. Verse 6, when they arrived, Samuel saw Eliab and said, so now Jesse is bringing out his sons to him so we can figure out who is the son that Yahweh now wants to be the next king of Israel. And so when Samuel went on this mission, he had to be a little secretive about it so that Saul wouldn't find out and kill him. That's what he said earlier in the chapter. And so that's why he's going under the subterfuge of making a sacrifice to justify him being out there with them. And Samuel saw Eliab and said, ooh, certainly the Lord's anointing has anointed this one before him. He looked at him, he's tall in stature, good looking young man. So, of course, this is who God is going to use because Saul was a very good looking man and he was heads and shoulders above everybody in Israel, it says. But the Lord said to Samuel, do not look at his appearance or his stature because I have rejected him. So Samuel, I guess, thinks he knows the prototype that God chooses based upon who he chose the first time. How many of you all know God can mix it up and flip that script? Man does not see what the Lord sees. For man sees what's visible, but the Lord sees the heart. 8. Jesse called Abinadab and presented him to Samuel, so his second born. Samuel said, no, the Lord hasn't chosen this one either. Verse 9. Then Jesse presented Shammah, but Samuel said, the Lord hasn't chosen this one either. Verse 10, after Jesse presented 7 of his sons to him, so all 7 of his sons, and none of them are who God sent him to anoint to be king. So did Samuel hear God wrong? Was there another Jesse? So Samuel said to him, the Lord hasn't chosen any of these. Verse 11, are these all the sons you have? And then Jesse says, there is still the youngest. What? Is he not your son? But right now he's tending the sheep. So let's pause right for a minute here. Do you see what just happened here? Samuel made it clear that he came to anoint one of Jesse's sons to be king. So he invited all the sons. Jesse presented him with seven. And so that's funny, seven for completeness, right? I mean, for perfection, the number of perfection. And so Samuel's thinking these are all the boys, but none of them are who Jehovah has chosen. And so he's wondering what is going on. Jesse didn't even think to include David. So the question is, does your father see you as a loser? I would say that Jesse saw David as a loser, not worth even inviting to have a meal with the rest of the family, to be anointed, to even be in the presence of the prophet. I might be going too far, but I read between the lines and I'm saying he didn't even think he was worth even bringing out. He's tending to the sheep, which is one of the lowest jobs you could have, by the way. Samuel told Jesse, send for him. We won't sit down and eat until he gets here. So Jesse sent for him. He had beautiful eyes and a healthy, handsome appearance. Then the Lord said, anoint him, for he is the one. So Samuel took the horn of oil, anointed him in the presence of his brothers, and the Spirit of the Lord took control of David from that day forward. Then Samuel set out and went to Ramah. I guess David says, I showed you, Daddy, I am worth something. I might be the youngest one, but God chose me, not everybody else. What do you get from this? Does your father see you as a loser? God sees value in you. You are a winner to him. And you know, they have the chat GPT now. And so it just pops up on my BING. And so when I typed in, does your father see you as a loser? It thought I was asking it. And it says, I'm sorry that's your experience, but know that that is not true. And it goes into telling you things to encourage yourself. I was just so tickled by that. So even the robot knows it's not true. So Yah sees what man does not see. Our earthly parents may not even see what God sees. And isn't that interesting? I know I only have one baby, and as soon as she got here, even before she got here, I said, Lord, let me know who this baby is, because you have only given her to me on loan. She belongs to you. And may you help me to parent her the way Mary and Joseph parented Jesus. May I do everything I can to encourage her and to support her talents, her strengths, whatever. And so when she was very young, I saw God share with me that Raven had healing hands, and one day she'll be used to heal the sick. And so I got her own little bottle of oil that we prayed over, and I began to nurture that. And then she grew up to want to become a nurse. She had been wanting to become a nurse since she was 4. And so I made sure that I put her in classes that got her ready for that. And when she went to high school, I put her in a high school where they had a medical program where she could go to school to be a certified nursing assistant even before graduating. So she graduated as a CNA during COVID, and she was still working as a nurse during that time while going to high school, dealing with pretty much COVID patients, right? So what I'm saying is, when you have a child, you are to nurture them and rear them in the way that they should go. Ask God, why did you create them? And then rear them in that way. So back to this. If your parents think you're a loser, encourage yourself. You were created for a purpose. You know, I often say it's funny how we say if everything is special, then no, nothing is. But with God, it's true. All of us are special to him. Why? Because it's only one of us. It's only one of us with the unique DNA that we have, the talents, the purposes that he has built into us. So we are all very special to him, and he created us with a purpose. The enemy says you're a loser. He's a liar. We just talked about those lying spirits. Don't you believe that? I don't care if your mama and your daddy did tell you that. They don't know everything. David became a king despite being the least of all. Remember that. God specializes in choosing those who are underestimated. So in this depiction, we see somebody being anointed as king. We'll say, we'll say that's David. And then we see this baby here. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you before you were born. I set you apart. Jeremiah 1:5, my favorite prophet. God has also set you apart. His mighty hand is over your life. Deuteronomy 14:2. You have been set apart as holy unto the Lord your God, and he has chosen you from all the nations of the earth to be his own special treasure. Hold on to that. Get both hands and pull it down and marinate in that. You are not a loser. You are a winner because God says you are. All right. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, drop some comments. And next up, fornication, the sin of sexual intercourse outside of marriage. Why is it wrong? It feels so good. All right. Come on back next time and let's hear more about it.